Hello, my name's Robert Dean Steele, and I have been talking with you about the very fact that God can take care of the greatest need. Now, in the story of or in the book of Genesis, there's a story about Abraham going up to the top of Mount Moriah with his son Isaac. And Abraham, of course, in Genesis chapter 22, said simply this: after the Lord had provided a ram, after Abraham had proven his allegiance and obedience to God, he said simply this: that place is called the Lord will provide. As it is to this day, in the mount of the Lord, it will be provided. Now, Abraham learned that day that in obedience to whatever God told him to do, he was going to have the Lord provide. This is a wonderful starting point for you and I. When we walk in obedience with God and when we trust God like Abraham did, the Lord makes a very simple promise. And that word, the Lord will provide, is known as Jehovah Jireh. And of course, the Lord makes a promise in Philippians chapter 4, verse number 19, that God's going to supply every need according to his riches and glory. Sometimes what we need to do is number one, we need to ask. And then number two, we need to walk in obedience to the conditions of the Word of God. When you want to see God supply, what you need to do is stand upon the word by faith. Let me give you a little story. In one of my churches, we were meeting with the leadership team, and our treasurer said, Pastor, we have $37 in the bank. And I was looking at that situation. Whoa, in 2 days, I'm supposed to get paid, and we don't have any money. Well, we agreed together in prayer that God was going to supply. Then afterwards, I went to prayer with the Lord for about an hour and a half about the whole issue, and then God spoke to my heart, and He said, "Tomorrow I am going to provide." And He says, "I'm going to do it through the mail." I said, "Wow, that's great." So what happened was the following morning, I went to the mail, and it wasn't there. There was no money in the mail. And I thought, well, that's really kind of strange. And as I was walking across the parking lot from the bank, one of my board members pulled up and he said, "Pastor," he says, "I got this letter this morning in my mailbox." He says, "It's from this particular member of our congregation who's away." And he opened it up, and we opened it up, and there was not only the provision for my salary, but for the rest of the month. And that day we learned, both of us learned, that God will provide when you put your trust in Him. So my simple exhortation to you is trust the Lord and know this, that when you put your trust and obedience in the Lord, He is going to provide. A little thought for you today. My name is Robert Dean Steele, and if you like what you've been hearing, then I encourage you to press the like button or subscribe to my YouTube channel.